What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and CreateSpace. A link will be in the description box below, as usual. This video is entitled An Economy of Debt. You know, it's funny that we live in what we call a capitalistic society, right? But pretty much the future economy of this country, the present economy and part of the past economy, is based specifically in debt. You know, this country is in debt. The vast majority of the citizens in this country are in debt. The vast majority of all of these situations that people have in this country when they lash out and get in trouble in some way, shape, form, or fashion has to do with money and a debt. Not getting more, but getting enough to get out of debt. And I think about this from time to time because they say get your education. Education at this point is just massive debt depending on where you're going. So now you have a situation where they basically promote it as mandatory that you need a college education. But you don't figure out, they don't have a pipeline to show people how to have a college, get a college education on a budget, so you don't wind up owing 20, 30, 40, 50 years worth of debt. You got to remember, even the former president Barack Obama, he finished his student loans, I think when he was in a White House or on a campaign trail when he had a book deal and he got a lot of money from a book. That was how he paid off his student loans, and he was either in his late 40s or early 50s. So the economy that even one of our recent presidents was faced with was an economy of debt, and at the time he was a senator, and senators make good money. You dig? But that's what a Harvard education can cost you, right? That's what pedigree costs, which is a problem. You know, it's a major problem because you don't realize how much debt can cripple you. You know, then we have it rolls over. Because one of the things that happens with people who are in college is they get credit cards, and they get that's their first introduction to it used to be their first introduction to credit, which was predatory lending in itself. So high interest rates, credit cards, that you're charging everything, and it's not necessarily. And some of y'all don't think about it, but when they used to do the credit cards on college campuses, it really wasn't just to get you early with predatory lending. It was to get you accustomed to buying things on credit. So by the time that you were a graduate and in the workforce, you were accustomed to paying for things with credit, because that was one of your first. You were trained to one of your first budgets was actually through credit, not through cash or debit. So you go into society the same way. So now you have these credit card debts, and you got people, you know, getting extra credit cards, swapping one balance from one card to the next, you know, one card to the next, blah, 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 right? And not understanding that, you know, it's going to create a problem, because just like in any other thing in this economy, the bubble bursts. And when you're when the bubble is not upward and it's downward, when it bursts, it's gonna everything that you've accrued, all the debt you've accrued is gonna fall on your head. And then we're talking about lifestyle. I still harken back to that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, when, he said, his dad, who was a teacher, kept getting promotions and raises and kept upping his lifestyle. And he really wasn't, his lifestyle was one of an upper middle class lifestyle. But his bank account didn't show that, because he just kept buying more stuff because he was keeping up with the Joneses. And that lifestyle keeps you in debt, because now you want to show the world, especially in an age where everybody is really trying to live their life on social media. There have been a few stories even recently where people have went into debt trying to get their page popping. And for what? There have been a few stories where people tried to get celebrities' attentions in nightclub venues, and they tried to ball out with rich folks, and the bill came due. And there was one recently with a young lady who had bought concert tickets with her rent money, and then she said she about to get evicted. Debt, bad decision making. And that's a bigger problem, because we're talking about a society whose economy is built on this. Because it's to the point now where businesses look at it that it's not good enough to have you as a customer. It's better to have you as a sharecropper or a debtor, a debt slave to them. Because what good is it, if you pay me off right now short money, okay, we done, finished contract. But if I can have you paying my debt for years. Same thing with mortgages and car payments, right? If you want it, you got to pay for it. What, 6, 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years for cars, and 10 to 30 years for homes. That's a debt. They want that. They want that interest. Even if you have good credit, that doesn't necessarily get you out of that debt. You're still gonna pay a massive amount of interest if you paying up for a long term time. And when you add that with the cost of living, because the cost of living keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and as much as people try to fight the cost of living, they somehow you can't mathematically fight the cost of living when they keep raising everything else. Because if you got a home, your mortgage rate is fixed, but your taxes fluctuate, right? If you got cars, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell I keep getting old and not getting and not being the cause of any accidents or getting any tickets, and my insurance keeps going up and up and up and up and up. No idea. The other thing, how can I say this? Another debt is medical debt, because we live in a society that is getting sicker and sicker. It's a really obese society. So really eating all of the foods that we eat get us sicker at a young age. And you got, kind of a society that's training parents and the youth to put their children on medication at an early age and to overfeed them at an early age. So they're going to be addicted or need prescriptions at an early age. And everything needs surgery. Everything needs, this. Nobody can say, I can handle it myself. And you see these ballooning medical payments for simple stuff, take aspirin from a hospital, see how much that costs. Seriously. Because medical expenses is really like price gouging at its finest. You know, everything costs 200-300 times what the actual price is. You know, other than that, and then you lump automation into that, where people want to start using machines instead of people, and now, you know, in some ways you're going to drive an underground economy of addicts and criminals, because they're drowning in debt and with no, you know. And it's funny how I don't know how you're going to keep building in metropolitan cities. I don't know why you keep building apartment complexes and building more homes and spreading the city out farther and further when everything is built on a bubble of debt, and you're cutting jobs left and right. And what I mean by cutting jobs, I mean, you know, some new industries are taking over. Like, you know, Uber basically is like a takeover business to cabs and pickup service and ride shares. So that people can do that for a living, right? But at the same time, you know, how many businesses are matching that? You get what I'm saying? Like, how many businesses are actually matching the workforce that is going to be automated out with the workforce, with new types of labor generated out of just a new era of technological era or social era that offsets that cost? Problem. And you're seeing more and more people raised in debt and thinking that is normal and thinking that is okay, and that's going to really widen the wealth gap in this country, because the wealthy are really going to really get their money off of the upper middle class, lower middle class, and poor. They're them owing a debt. You know, when they have like the national the debt calculator for the nation, and then it says it has, you know, the number that keeps going up, but then it says your family's portion of the debt. It's like it's a 6-figure debt that each family in America would have to owe to pay off the nation's problem, the nation's debt problem. And it's funny because, you know, if the government operates like this, it's only normal that the people operate like this. So at some point, when the government's gonna fall, you know, the people are gonna fall also, and that's what I mean by, you know, a governmental issue in an economy built on debt. Because why would they have to sign how much your family owes? Because in some small way, they're preparing you for you gonna pay that. Just saying. We out.